Please close the door. Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankarācārya-madhyamām Asmadācārya-paryantāṃ Vande Guru-paramparam Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma-pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madācārya-varam-param. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shriniyaama Devāh Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatrāh Sthirairangaihi Stuštuvāgam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitai Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravāh Swasti nah Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. घटसंवृतमाकाशं नीयमाने घटे यथा घटो नीयेत नाकाशं तथा जीवो नभोपमः. Very beautiful mantra here, discussing in a very ingenious way the Avachedavada. What is Avachedavada? The theory of as though conditioned consciousness. Consciousness is neither covered nor conditioned nor reflected. This is just tools to understand that which is beyond any description, beyond any attributes, beyond name, form, all these things. But in order to let it sink in a certain way, we have certain pedagogical tools. And among those tools of conveying that which is seemingly unconveyable because it is the truth of oneself, because it cannot be objectified, we have two of these models. The first one we saw is the so-called reflected consciousness, Pratibimbavada, where this chit, which is all pervasive, which is everything, obtains in the mind in the form of Chidabhasa, because the mind is made of the sattvic 5 elements. So this we saw, and this is the theory of as though. We always have to add as though. Theory of as though reflected consciousness. And now in this, that was in the last verse, with the filled pots filled with water sitting under the sun. And then what do we have? We have this, we have the as many pots are there, that many, so quote unquote suns we see, but the sun has not become that many. It is a reflection, it is an appearance. So this explains how this one consciousness, so to speak, has as though become many without undergoing any change. This is what we also studied. This is just a summary. We also studied that this is what is called Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Vivarta means Vividham Vartate. That without undergoing any change, that one appears in many forms, as it were. We saw all that. Then we, in the next verse, the one we just chanted, which number is that? 13? Oh, yeah. In verse number 13, we saw the other way of looking at it, which is avachedavada. Avachedavada, the theory of as though conditioned consciousness. What is the so-called conditioning agent? That is upadhi. Upadhistha atma. Upadhi avachinna atma. As though conditioned by the upadhi, and we saw the meaning of upadhi also, that which lends its attributes to something else which is as though near it. So the body, mind, sense complex lend their attributes to Atma, leading one to get confused and thinking that the Atma is as big as the body, as big as the mind, as the size of the sense organs, and limited in so many other ways because one is identified with the body, mind, sense complex. So this avachedavada is very useful. Both of them are very useful in understanding this Atma. These are all tools, and we do exactly what we do with the tools here also. Like screwdriver is a tool. So there is a screw that is difficult to unravel, to take out. So you use the tool called screwdriver. After taking out the screw, what do? You put the screwdriver away. You don't go then along with the screwdriver. The screwdriver does not become an integral part of your understanding. Similarly, these theories are also just interim devices. Devices to make one understand that which is not an object, that which has no attributes, no form, no name even. Even the name Brahman we have given, it doesn't say I am Brahman. And so this consciousness, this is how, what should we do? So therefore, there are these tools, and we don't let the tools become the reality. We don't confuse the tool for Brahman. Tool is tool, and then it helps us to go near Brahman, so to speak. It helps us to get a better understanding, and that's why the tools are used. So these are two prominent tools we will see. The Pratibimbavada is explained at great length. I mean, it's just like splitting hairs in the Upadesha Sahasri. And in fact, we will have a camp on Upadesha Sahasri. Sakshat Swamiji teaches, continues. I think that's from the 10th to the 18th of September, that is there. So every year he continues a few verses, we get through. And so there, very elaborately, Adi Shankara discusses this theory, and nothing is left out. Everything is just parsed and talked about, very much there. And Avachedavada is there in many places in the Upanishads as well. And so the other thing to know is that this is all we have done. This is just a summary, so that if anything was missed, you can catch it. And then you can be ready to move on to where we need to go next. So both these, because they are devices, because they are tools, both of them have major problems. Because, they are trying to bring something to bring awareness into our awareness. Awareness is what? Already me. So how to bring awareness to my awareness, you can see the difficulty. So then we have to make sure that in our understanding of the Pratibimbavada, the reflecting agent, the medium of reflection, i.e. the mind, is not Satyam. We have to see it as Mithya. Similarly, the Upadhi, where this consciousness is as though housed, that is also what? Mithya. If we remind ourselves of this, then we can use these tools to the best of the ability without losing anything in the process. So now, let us, with these words, let us get back to the verse. So the mantra here says, Ghata samvritam akasham niyamane ghate yatha. So yesterday we had a demo of this. Let's say, what is this? What does pot have? Space. So now I want to make sure the pot space stays in the pot. Okay? Yeah. And then I want to move the pot from this place to that place, because that is what the verse says. So, Ghata samvritam akasham. So the akasha that is trapped so to speak, we have to say. The akasha that is as though trapped in the pot is being taken from one place to another. It is being taken. Then, what is being taken? Pot is being taken. Is pot space also moving along with the pot? No, not possible. Why? Because we have got it all wrong. Is pot in space or is space in pot? This is a Zen, this is a Zen koan. There are all these koans and all these things. The Zen masters have it very easy. Yeah, they come to class, they may have an opening prayer, and then after that they will just ask one question, and then they will say the closing prayer and go away. Yeah, I'm a little envious of the Zen masters because what we have to do, explain everything. They will just ask one question and then go away, and then the student has to sit and break their heads over that question. A redwood tree falls in the forest. Does it make a noise? Om Purnamadav Purnamidham, etc. Then, it's just the teacher has washed the hands off. Then the student has to sit all day, all night, however long it takes, to come up with whatever answers and then check if the answers are correct. Yeah, that's how it was in the Upanishads also. Bhrigu goes to Varuni. In the ancient times it was like that. Because it was not yet Kali Yuga. Let's just say that, It was not yet the Yuga of no dharma, and so it was a little easier perhaps from what we see in the Upanishads. So Bhrigu goes to his father and then asks for some instruction. Adhihi bhagavo Brahma iti. And then what does the father say? The father says, Varuna, the father says, that yatova imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, tad vijignyasasva, tad brahma iti. So teach me Brahman, O revered sir. And what does the revered sir do? The revered sir says, that from which all these beings have come, that by which all these beings are sustained, that unto which all the beings resolve, please meditate, contemplate on that. That is Brahman. And then this fellow trots off and goes and sits to meditate. Must have been hungry, must have not had breakfast, because what's on his mind is food. He says, well, if there is no food, the beings are not born. Beings are born out of food. And then they are sustained by what? Food. And then when you go back, where do you go back to? Food. Either one is directly, the body is directly buried under the ground, or what else? The body is burnt, and then the ashes somehow make it to the ground. Either way, then in a way, it is not wrong to say we are eating our ancestors in the form of brinjals and ladies' fingers and all these things, vegetables. Yeah. So it goes back to what? Food. So he says, yes, I know Brahman. What is Brahman? Food. And he's not wrong. He's partially correct. Food is indeed Brahman. Brahman is not just food. He is partially correct. So he runs back to the father and says, what? Got it, got it. Brahman is food. So then, what does the father say? The father doesn't try to correct him. He just says, this is not okay. You please go meditate again. And so from the gross, he goes to more and more subtle realms. Then from the food, he goes to prana. Then he goes to manaha. Then he goes to kartritvam, bhoktritvam. He goes through all the koshas. Then finally, he understands Brahman as limitless. So, this is this was the time where the Shishyas were very equipped. The Shishyas had a lot more preparation than what we have today. And there was, as Shishyas, we don't have much preparation. And so, this is not possible. So, I think even the Zen things must have been from a long time ago. So, here, when the pot is carried, the space is stationary. Space does not move. But the space gives when the pot is moved, the space gives the appearance of moving. When the pot is taken from point A to point B, the pot space also seems to go along with it. Why? Because the space is ghatakara. What is the form of the pot space? The form of the pot space is the same as the pot. It is not separate from the pot. So therefore, there is a feeling that Brahman, in what is exemplified, there is a feeling that this Brahman is also moving. Why? Because the body is moving. The indweller of the body-mind-sense complex is this Brahman. Brahman is moving and then therefore looks to be moving. Why? Because the body is moving. The mind is restless and I come to the conclusion, I am restless. Body is moving and I say, I move, I run, I walk, I am still, I walk. All these things I say. So the attributes of the body-mind-sense complex are superimposed, so to speak, upon Brahman, which is always, ever free of all superimpositions. Like our crystal is free of all superimpositions, but then in association with certain colors, it appears to take on those colorations without really taking on that color at all. So here also, when you take the pot from point A to point B, the space also appears to be in motion. Is the space in motion? Not at all. Not at all. Even if you are spaced out, you can see that the space is not in motion. And so, like this, we understand this. Niyamane ghate yatha. Then when the pot is taken, what happens? The ghata moves, na akasham. The akasha does not move. So, how is that expressed? Ghato niyeta. The ghata is taken, na akasham. This is the example. Now, that which is exemplified are the last three words, tatha jivaha nabhopamaha. So, this was a upama. Upama for what? Brahman. So here there is a confusing word. The word jiva is used. Jiva is used, but actually what does it mean? Brahman. Yeah, the word jiva is used and it's actually, we find it confusing, but actually on part of the Upanishad, it is a beautiful device to see that jiva is none other than Ishvara. The truth of the jiva is none other than Ishvara. Jiva minus complaints is Bhagavan. So here the Upanishad sees Jiva in the best possible iteration, without complaints, without all the time crying, and then and understand something very beautiful. And what is that? This Jiva, which is Ishvara, is Nabhopamaha in the example. So, nabhaha upama yasya nabhopamaha. So, nabha means space. So, the jiva is comparable to space. The truth of the jiva, this complaining individual who cannot find enough time to finish complaining, this jiva, the truth of this jiva is what? The jiva is like space. Don't go away thinking jiva is space. No. Nabha upama. Upama means like space. And where is this space being discussed? In the example. In the example of the pot and the space together. And when the pot is taken from point A to point B, from point 1 to point 2, P1 to P2, when the pot is taken, the space also appears to be going along with the pot without really going anywhere. Because we know from just observation that space does not move. And then it is a big spoof to think that space is moving. It's an even bigger spoof to say lecture hall space, room space, what other space? Then closet space, temple space. Oh my God, I need space. I need to be in the open space. And then finally, I am spaced out, meaning there is too much space in the head. All right? And so like this, the so many iterations of space are all just a superimposition upon space that it is free of. It is free of boundaries. So if you build 4 walls and call it room space, it is not affected, it is still space. And similarly, if you make a pot and call whatever is inside pot space, you don't have to, that doesn't really become pot space. And if the pot space had a human mind and was filled with complexes, what would it say? I want to become one with space. It would try to do a Shirshasana, headstand, and then go like this. Let the space come out of the pot. Was the space in the pot to begin with? No. Was the space trapped in the pot? Never. So it doesn't have to break in order to become one with space. The pot doesn't have to break in order to become one with space. The upadhi does not need to get destroyed in order to understand I am space-like, attribute-less Brahman. So when I move, Brahman does not move. When I act, Brahman does not act. When I complain, you can complete the sentence. Brahman is not the one who is complaining. Yeah, very beautiful example. Then the third one is about a broken pot. So first one was about a full pot, second one about pot space, and the third one is the broken pot. Ghatavad vividhakaram Vidyamanam punah punah Tadbhagnam na cha janati Tadbhagnam na cha janati Sajanati cha nityashah Sajanati cha nityashah. Ghatavat. Now this Ghatavat, don't go with the verses 12 and 13 because those ghatas were different. This is a different ghata, different this thing, different example. Now don't go with the space or the reflection. So this one is a different example to show the reincarnation. Repeated reincarnation, and also to show what is it that is getting reincarnated. Is Brahman getting reincarnated? What is it that's getting reincarnated? This is to show that. So Ghatavat vividhakaram ghatavat, like the pot, what happens? Ghatavat vidyamanam punah punah vividhakaram. It's not a whole sentence, but we have to make the best of it. It's a poem. So when it is verse, you don't have to write all the articles of the speech, the grammar. In the poetry, it is always little bit, some things will be missing and have to be supplied. So, Ghatavat Bhidyamanam Punah Punah, let's take that. Ghatavat means like even the pot, when it is repeatedly broken, what happens? Then it repeatedly comes back. Correct? So that is one thing to say. Better to take the example of gold and ornament, because then it is easy, because when the pot breaks, Vidyamanam means breaking. With the breaking of the pot, the powders, the churna, the powders of the pot, the powder of the pot cannot be used to make a new pot, because it's already baked. But with gold, it is not like that. With the gold, you can melt it. Actually, you smelt. When you talk about this, we say smelt. So you can smelt the gold. The metal is smelted, and then you can make another chain, another ring, another ornament after smelting one ornament. So like this, Vidyamanam Punah Punah. Again and again, when it is broken, Punah Punah Vidyamanam, what happens? Tad Bhagnam na janati. Now, you see, it's a little confusing, because in the second half, we go straight to the Darshtanta. Drishtanta, example, Darshtanta, that which is exemplified. So, that which is exemplified is the body. The body is equal to the pot. In all the three examples, this similarity is maintained. Body, mind, sense complex is equal to the pot. Tad bhagnam na janati. One does not know one's own destruction. Does the body know its own destruction? Say no, so we can move on. Yeah. The body doesn't know it's been destroyed. Why? It is inert. It is simply a house. The house doesn't know it is demolished. The owner of the house says, I have demolished the house because I want to build a bigger house, a better house. This was an old house, it was leaking in 20 places, so I have demolished the house. Does the house say, I am demolishing myself? Never. Similarly, this body, which is the house, as so to speak, for Brahman, does not know its own destruction. Like the ghata. The ghata doesn't know, okay, I have only 30 seconds more to live. Why only 30 seconds? Because this person is holding me very precariously with 2 fingers. 30 seconds later I could fall and then die. Ghata doesn't know that. Body doesn't know that. Body doesn't know that. The body doesn't know its own destruction. Why? Because it is inert. The mind also doesn't know its own destruction. The mind is also living on borrowed time. Borrowed time. And then, when the prana withdraws from the body, mind you, Brahman does not withdraw from the body. What withdraws? Prana withdraws with the help of Mr. Udana. We already talked about this. Mr. Udana says, pack up boys, and all the other pranas go. They just leave the body. The prana departs the body, Brahman is still there. Brahman is still there because Brahman is there in everything that is inert and sentient. In a sentient body, Brahman is there or not? Yes. And then in an insentient, dead body, also Brahman is there. What's the difference? One does not have sukshma shariram. The subtle body having departed along with the prana, this dead body cannot say, I am the house for Brahman. That's the only difference. And it's not that in a living being there is more Brahman and in a dead body there is less Brahman. There is equal. Everything is the same. The presence of Brahman doesn't change. And what changes is the absence of the subtle body is what we are talking about. The subtle body departing along with the prana does not know its own destruction, does not know that I am no more in this particular form, no more in this name. The body-mind-sense complex does not know this at all. But then there is someone that knows. Why? Why can't it just be random? Why should there be a someone that knows? There is someone that knows. Why is there someone that knows? Because death and life, birth, death, sustaining are not random. It's not random. Even though it may appear random, it may appear completely by chance that somebody has just died. You don't know why. Nobody knows why. Why this person died and that person did not die, even though person B, the other person, was already 98 years old and had been bedridden for 5 years. But surprise, the 62-year-old died without any explanation. Was not sick at all, but somehow just succumbed to Lord Yama. Why? We don't know. But we think it is random. We think death should follow a certain order because those that are old should die first. So we think death should attack the 100-year-old, then the 98-year-old, then slowly make its way down like that. But that is not the reality at all. In the Taittiriya Upanishad it says, Mrityur dhavati panchamaha. 4 things are discussed, Vayu and Surya and Agni, Varuna, all that, Agni, Indra, all that are discussed, and those are all functioning in response to the law, orders from Brahman, so to speak. It's not that Brahman is sitting there ordering Surya and Agni, Varuna, etc. to function in their own spaces. No. But it's as though out of respect and fear for Brahman, they are all functioning in those places. Means what? That they are not the ultimate. There is a boss. There is a boss in the form of the laws of the universe. The laws of the universe dictate so many things. It dictates how the sun rises and sets, how the earth moves, in other words. It dictates also, the law also dictates. What does it dictate? How the waters come, when do the waters come? And then it dictates how the wind blows. The same law also dictates how death behaves. How does death behave? Dhavati. Dhavati means jumps, not runs here. Jumps. We have to take it as langhayati. Jumps. Why does it jump? Because it does not seem to have a kind of a systematic approach. Okay, the eldest one must go first. No such rule is there. So it jumps. First 98-year-old, and then 8-year-old, then 50-year-old, then again 75-year-old, and then again 2-year-old. It has to jump. It does not have some kind of a symmetrical, age-wise attacking the person at the end of the life. It does not have that at all. So therefore, dhavati. Mrityuhu dhavati. Everybody dhavati when they see Mrityu. Everybody runs. And Mrityu jumps at the order of Bhagavan. Brahman here, Bhagavan. So this Bhagavan, which is Atma, alone knows. This Bhagavan, which is non-separate from Satchidananda Atma. So in other words, we can call it Brahmatma. This Brahmatma alone knows. What does this Brahmatma know? The destruction of the body-mind-sense complex, and by logical inference, the birth of the body-mind-sense complex also it knows. So, we don't know when the body is going to fall. We don't know that. But Somebody knows that. Who is that? The indweller of the body, the truth of this body, mind, sense complex knows that. So the third one is the Ghatavad Vividhakaram Vidyamanaha. So like even the pot, Vividhakaram means it gains many forms, and then Vidyamanam Punah Punaha, and gets repeatedly destroyed. And then Tad Bhagnam Najanati. Yeah, and then Tad Bhagnam Najanati. Najanati Tad Bhagnam does not know its own destruction. Why? Because it is inert. Because it is inert, it does not know its own destruction. In fact, it is dependent upon a conscious entity for its life, for its beginning, for its end. And that conscious entity in the form of Ishvara dictates when a person is born, when a person dies, how long the person lives, because that law is part of the karmic law that rules the lifespan. So the karmic law that rules the lifespan alone is here, and so Tad Bhagnam na janati. So then Sajanati Nityashaha. Nityashaha means always. It's not that one lifespan is known to this Satchidanandam Brahma, to this Bhagavan, to this Atma. Not that only one person's life is known, or only one time the life is known. All the time, everywhere, the lives and the births and the deaths and the law that governs the birth and death is continually known. We saw this in the beginning of the fourth chapter, when the Lord says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. You also have had many lives. I also, as an avatara, have had many lives. What's the difference between us? Yeah, you don't know any of them. I know both my lives and your lives as well. And the lives of any other random person in the universe, I know. So here also, the Atma alone knows. Atma knows, and then Atma here is Bhagavan. Bhagavan knows, and this Ishvara alone knows, and then this is the first time I think we are introducing Ishvara here, if I am not mistaken. Yes, because it has all been, see, we are going from Vyashti. Vyashti means from the individual to the total. And this is a key verse that goes from the individual to the total. Vyashti, individual, Samashti, total. So up till now only Vyashti was discussed. Vyashti was discussed up till verse 10, meaning one's mind. And the mind is a complex entity. The mind is the source of both bondage and liberation. And what is this? Why is the mind a source of bondage? Because it's filled with ragadveshas. The fewer the ragadveshas, then what happens? The mind is, the freer is the mind. So like this, we are going from Tvam Pada Vichara, our own body, mind, sense complex we are querying, because that's a good place to start. Because at least I know something. Suddenly if we go to Bhagavan, what do I know? Nothing. So, Tvam Pada Vichara, a very focused inquiry into Tvam, the word Tvam. Tvam Pada means the word Tvam. Tvam, if I say, you have to say what? Aham. You have to say I. Okay, so the student says I, the teacher says you. So Tvam Pada Vichara means a sustained enquiry with the help of the Shruti, mind you. It's not just an enquiry just sitting there somewhere and imagining things. No, it is with the help of the Shruti, the enquiry, a sustained enquiry that is done into the word you, into the word I, is called Tvam Pada Vichara. And this analysis is important because so many things that I take for granted, because I don't know any better, and because this is what I have been taught, is all questioned here. It's all analyzed and questioned. Analytically it is questioned so that I can come to an understanding of the difference between the variable and the invariable in the usage of the word tvam. So what is variable? First we saw the mind is variable. Body is of course variable because it keeps getting destroyed. Mind variable, body variable, senses variable. What is the invariable one? The one who knows everything. This observer invariable. The observer is invariable. The observer obtains as the invariable one in the Tvam Pada Vichara. In the analysis of Tvam, the word I, everything that is variable is discounted. Cognitively discounted. I don't want you to have an out-of-body experience. I don't want you to jump out of the body, okay? Yeah. So, even if that were possible. So, cognitively, the body is set aside, discounted from the analysis of Tvam because the body is changeable. We saw all the reasons. Changeable, variable, and then is subject to ups and downs. All these things we saw. And it is a object of observation. All these reasons, the body is set aside as variable. Mind is, in fact, it begins with the mind because we are analytic beings. So the mind also is set aside as changeable, variable, and object of my observation. Senses also the same. And then what? Then we see that there is something invariable in all of this. What is that? The one who is doing this analysis is that the content of the one who is doing this analysis, the truth of the one who is doing this analysis is invariable. What is that content? Consciousness, awareness. I am aware of this body, I am aware of the mind, I am aware of how this body is subject to being changeable. All this is there, and then so this awareness alone obtains when I do Tvam Pada Vichara. Here, suddenly the Tat Pada is introduced. Sahajanati Nityashaha. Meaning, there is a knower. This now also, two things have happened. One is from Tvam Pada we have jumped to Tat Pada analysis, and then from Vyashti, from the analysis of the individual, we have leaped towards the analysis of the total. Two big things are happening in this particular mantra. And then we'll see how to understand this, because we will be revisiting this again and again. Okay, so let's make sure that verse 14, all the words have been covered. Tad bhagnam na janati sajanati cha nityashaha. Yes, okay. Let's go to the next one. Shabdamaya vrito naiva tamasayati pushkare bhinne tamasi chaikatvam eka evanupashyati. Yeah. So, the next one, interesting segue. The next one says that, why is this? Why is it so difficult to understand oneself as Brahman? It answers the question, what is it that comes in the way? Many things come in the way. So what is it? What are those things that come in the way of understanding myself as consciousness free of attributes? What is it that's coming in the way? So let us look at the verse. Shabdamaya vritam. Shabdamaya vritaha. So Shabda Maya. Maya here means a delusion. Maya Jala. Jala means a web of delusion. The word Jala is not used here. I am just supplying it. It's not there in the verse. So, a web of delusion. Made of what? Words. A web of delusion made up of words. Shabda Maya Avritaha. Avritaha means as though covered. Brahman is never covered. What is covered is my understanding. Please understand that. My understanding of Brahman as myself, as of Ishvara as myself, is what is covered. Brahman cannot be covered. We cannot say Brahman is covered, because then that would be a travesty. If Brahman is covered, then which becomes more limitless? Is Brahman limitless or is the covering limitless? Covering becomes limitless. If you say Brahman is covered, the agent which covers becomes more limitless than Brahman, then Brahman becomes what? Limited. That's why we have to be very, very careful in the language. And you will see that the teachers of Vedanta will be using the words extremely carefully. And that is why it makes the words have an effect. Otherwise, simply, just translating, what is that? Existence, knowledge, bliss. What did you understand? That too with a capital B. This is the translation of what? Satchitananda. And all capital E, existence. Capital K, knowledge. Capital B, bliss. Which is at once supreme. What is this supreme? It's a type of petrol. That's all we know. Yeah. That's where the mind will go if you say supreme. These are all overused words. Therefore, they are already loaded with certain kind of subjectivity. We avoid using that. And therefore, the careful usage of the words is very, very important, and that is gained in the training of the Shishya by the Guru, and the Shishya watching the Guru carefully to see what words are not used. This is very, very important. It's very important to know what not to say, as it is important to know what to say. And so here, Shabdamaya Vrito. Shabdamaya Vritaha means that which is covered by a web of delusional words. What are delusional words like the ones I just talked about? That's why I was talking about them, to make you understand this verse. Supreme, divine. Divine is again another overused word. What is this divine? You can use the same word to describe chocolate cake. Oh, it was divine. And then you can use the same word to describe Brahman also. So, this is how it is. So, many other, if you keep looking, there will be many other overused words, like I said, especially to be found to be proliferating the pocket book Vedanta, the kinds of book you buy at the airport. And then, like I said, one good thing is neither the writer nor the reader knows what it is all about. So, but another good thing is, it makes you come to the ashram, because it leaves you even more confused than before, and you say, oh, better if the jignasa is real, then you say, let me take myself to a proper place of learning and learn what this all is about. Otherwise, we'll keep talking of divine, supreme and bliss. That is what it is. And so, here, this is why Brahman is not known, this is why Brahman is Durlabham. It is Durlabham Brahma, not because it is difficult to understand, but the understanding is percolated, filtered through what? A web of words. So you see, the poor words of the Shastra, which are the Pramana, are fighting to get in inside the head. And why? Because there are goalkeepers, like in a game. Like in a hockey game, there is a goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper guards very, very strongly, does not let the ball from the opposite side come into the goal. No, you can't go in. And what is the ball here? The ball sthaniya is akhandakara vritti. I am Brahman. That's why I use ball. It is purna, it is full. It has no particular shape. So, like this, this akhandakar vritti is forbidden to enter. So, this knowledge, I am Brahman, which is being given in the form of the transmission of the vritti, Guru Mukhat, from the mouth of the Guru to the ear of the student, is blocked. Why? Because the hearing is not nice or the hearing is not good? No. Because in the head is a Shabda Jala. Shabda Jala means a web of words. So here the words of the Shastra are trying to penetrate the Buddhi, and the Buddhi is covered, not the Atma is covered. Buddhi, my own understanding is covered. How is it covered? By my own web of words which I have built up because of my own subjectivity. This is Pratibhasika. So the Paramarthika cannot enter the Pratibhasika because it is rebuffed repeatedly. Each time it tries to enter, the goalkeeper, in the form of the Ahankara, wielding these words, rebuffs Brahman so that it is always outside of the head. It is always in the form of a mystery. It is never understood as myself, or with great difficulty it is understood as myself, and therefore 9/10 of the job is dismantling this scaffolding. You know the meaning of scaffolding? Like when a construction is done, they have all these bamboo and sometimes steel rods, and they tie it up because they need the workers to climb and put the water on the cement and put the mortar and everything. So this is the scaffolding. The building is there, but in front of the building you have a scaffolding. So the scaffolding of words has to be dismantled before one can understand this truth. So what is this Maya Jala, Shabda Maya Jala? It is of two types. One is again on the level of Vyashti, individual wrong thinking. What is individual wrong thinking? I am an idiot. Everybody is thinking it, but then in each head, the idiot has a different shape, size and meaning. Okay? So this is individual wrong thinking. So supposing somebody says, I have been ignored because I was the middle child. I was neither the eldest nor the youngest, and so everybody ignored me. This is individual Shabda Jala. So therefore, I don't matter. This is individual Shabda Jala. Vyashti Shabda Jala, then Vyashti Shabda Jala also includes Shabda, doesn't have to mean just words. Those are also notions. Notions are expressed through what? Words. So this Vyashti Shabda Jala in the form of individual trauma and that we keep rehearsing. What do we want to do with trauma? We want to reverse it. But what do we do? Keep doing instead? Rehearsing it. There is a big difference between reversing it and rehearsing it. Many times you keep rehearsing it, thinking you are reversing it, but actually it is just keeping on repeating itself. I am a traumatized individual. If you keep this as an identity, then Brahman it will be very difficult for Brahman to visit, because that's not really your identity. These are all Vyashti Shabda Jala. Vyashti Shabda Jala. And then again, I am the daughter of so and so. I am the son of so and so. I am the husband of so and so. I am the wife of so and so. These are all individual Shabda Jala. I am this much and not more than that. Individual Shabda Jala. Then there is Samashti Shabda Jala that one learns in school, college, etc. that the education system keeps feeding. And what does that look like? That looks like the human beings are social animals. That means I have to be what? Surrounded by people all the time. I should not be alone. This is a samashti shabdajala. Human beings are social. Human beings are like this. And then what? Then it is natural to grieve. The grief is not questioned. It is natural to grieve. Keep on crying, no problem. That's what society will tell. It is natural to have grief. It is not that Vedanta says it's unnatural to have grief, but we look at grief as we looked at it in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We interrogate grief very, very carefully so that it does not become an identity. So that I don't go around telling everybody I am depressed. I am depressed, you are depressed, we are all depressed. And then, so like this, there are many, many individual Shabdajala and Samashti Shabdajala. In fact, the ignorance is replicated at the level of the Vyashti and at the level of the Samashti also. This is a very interesting discussion. We'll have it, we'll continue with it tomorrow. So, two announcements. Tomorrow we have a Bhumi Puja. Bhumi Puja means a ground breaking inside the temple, and it's going to start at 6 o'clock, and it is for the new Dakshinamurti shrine. So first they will remove the slab next to where the Adi Shankaracharya statue is, near that, right next to that, they will remove the slab ceremonially and then do an offering for the well-being of all beings who may reside underneath, do an offering for Vastu Purusha, and then do an offering to ward off any obstacles and anything that is coming in the way of the successful completion of the shrine. And then so what we will do is we will not have meditation. No meditation tomorrow. But then the class will be there at the appointed time. The puja will go till 10 o'clock. We can't just be sitting there all the time. So you can, so that you can enjoy and see something, we will cancel the meditation. Instead of meditation, you can go sit there. And we will be taking attendance. So that is one announcement. And then the second one, today I thought we could have satsang, but I can't. I can't have satsang today. So question answer tomorrow. Okay. So no satsang tonight and no meditation tomorrow. Okay. And then you can sit in the puja and then class will be as usual. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.